Coach, Matt mentioned earlier in the week that you were just itching to get back on the sidelines, coming down from the booth. How would you describe it being down there?
No, it's good. You enjoy being down there with the guys and be able to talk to them and, look them in the eye, feel the emotions of the game. So, yeah, no, it was a lot of fun.
And when was the last time you've been on the sidelines as a coach?
As a coach, never. But as a player, I was on the sidelines a lot. So I got used to it. Felt back in my William Mary days. But yeah, no, I'd never. That was the first time I've ever been on a field for a game before.
All right, let's go to David Newton, followed by Bill Voth.
Hey, Joe, I got a couple of questions. First, what prompted your decision to go down there?
No, there really wasn't anything in particular. I just kind of had the vibe in the field that I just wanted to be down there, and it's obviously very calm up in the box, but just the communication elements of just being able to, it's just one less factor that you need to talk to some person. I can just walk around and do that down there, and so I just was, it doesn't really change much, so it was good.
And Curtis Samuels really seemed to be emerging here the last few weeks. So what about him is different now as far as why he's being so productive?
Look, I don't think there's really anything differently than what he's doing. I think we said, early in the year, every week we were going to be learning, ourselves, our team, our identity, what our guys can do well. And so, I think each week you're just starting to see, you get to see more and more of, the value of a guy like Curtis Samuel and, how explosive he is. And when the ball's in his hands, good things happen. So, I don't think it's anything that he's doing differently. It's he's making the most of his opportunities and he's helping us.
Hey, Joe, you guys have scored just 24 points in the third quarter, which is somewhat misleading because I know a fair number of those drives have ended up in the fourth quarter with you guys scoring. But does there feel like there's something just not clicking coming out of halftime over the last few weeks?
Well, I mean, yeah. Look, the statistics are statistics, right? And so at the end of the day, that it's our job to put points on the board. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of factors that come into it. And we've been stopped on a couple. We've missed some field goals down there. We've been stopped on some turnovers on downs. It's something that we've talked internally. We have to come out at the second half and do a better job at just executing. And so I don't think it's necessarily anything that we're not doing. I just think we got to just have more attention to detail like we do in the beginning of the game, to start in the second half.
Thanks.
Go to Joe Person, followed by Jonathan Alexander.
Hey, Joe, I have two. Just first of all, your name is kind of popping up on these potential head coaching lists. Wondered kind of how you process that, and is that a goal for you, now and or in the future?
I mean, right now, that's the last thing on my mind. You guys know how I am. I'm kind of a day-to-day guy. So right now, the only thing on my mind is this game this Sunday.
And then I just wanted to ask you, too, if kind of what you feel like has been your biggest challenge as a first-year NFL play caller this year. Has it been, calling plays without Christian for a bulk of it, or what would you point to there?
It's hard for me to come up with, what the biggest challenge might be, Joe. I think it's more just you're learning every week. I think I can be, an offensive coordinator for, God willing, 20 years, and I'm going to be learning every week as it goes there. And I think it's just a feel. It's just getting a feel for your players, a feel of situational football. I think it's, every week you learn something, and I think that's an important thing. But from a challenge, I think at the NFL level, it's always going to be challenges. You're going against the greatest defensive coordinators in the league, and it's it's a great chess match, and it's your competitive juices are flowing with that. But it's a learning, and I don't mean that as being a first year coordinator. I'm learning. I should be answering that same question in 5 years, but I'm having a lot of fun doing it.
Hey, Joe. I hope you're doing well. DJ Moore has had only 4 catches in the past 2 games. How do you get him more involved without actually force feeding him or overdoing it?
Yeah, look, I'm not oblivious to it. I know how explosive DJ Moore is when the ball's in his hands. I think, a big thing with this offense is, the guys got to be ready every single week, and you never know who's going to be the one to have, potentially have 10 targets, have 9 targets. We're going to take how the game comes and go from there. I think, it'd be great to get DJ a bunch of catches, to get Curtis a bunch of catches, to get, our running backs involved, get Robbie involved, our tight ends. We just know, hey, from a game-to-game situation, it might not always play out that way. We just kind of understand that. And I think our guys kind of understand that, and they just got to know that no matter kind of the results that we've had this past week, or maybe some of the targets and catches, this is going to be the week that it's going to be my week. And so I think they all kind of have that approach.
And let's go to Phil Orban, followed by Skylar Callahan.
Hey, Joe, Phil Snow mentioned how at least some of the Bucs' struggles on Sunday came from them getting down early and kind of getting out of their game plan. Obviously, I know you want to score every drive, but are there teams you can point to and say, they will have to alter things if we can kind of race out to an early lead?
I mean, you'd like to think, most teams, if you're able to get to a lead, but I don't think there's anything comfortable in this NFL. I think, you played Tampa the first time we played them, it was 21-0. And the way that the NFL shakes out, you always have an opportunity to win the football game. And so, we had the ball at the end of the drive, at the end of the game, to tie the game. And so as bad as some games might look, I don't think there's ever a comfort factor, especially if there's not calling the plays. And so, but obviously, getting a lead, it does feel a little better than being down 21-0. That's for sure.
Hey, Joe, I know these are probably two guys we don't talk about all that much, but Will and PJ, how much have they progressed over the last, 2 months or so, and what has really stood out to you with both of those guys?
Well, I mean, it's one of those things that it's fortunate that, we haven't been able to, you got a couple clips of PJ, in the game against Atlanta, but, the mindset those guys have been incredible, day in and day out, the way that they approach practice, the way that they approach, the meetings, they all prepare to start every single week. And so as a coach, it makes our lives so much easier when we got three guys that we feel comfortable in. And, you see when PJ was in the football game against Atlanta, first play, we're taking a shot, running a go route with him. So, we feel completely confident in them three, in the three quarterbacks that we have. And it's a lot of it's because of the preparation and the approach that they have.
Next question, we'll go to Elena Getzenberg and then Josh Klein.
Hey, Joe, I know you talked about having to make halftime adjustments and that sort of thing. What is your process at halftime? Like, are you going over plays with Teddy, or what do you do during halftime?
Well, I think it changes kind of week to week. And just in terms of, it depends on the success you've had in the first half, just talking through it with coaches in terms of, how do we want to approach the second half? What do we want to do differently? Just have thoughts. Do we want to stick with these type of things? So there's a lot that goes into it. And then it's the communication with your players, us breaking from coaches to that communication. I think, it helps now that I'm not going up to the box, that I have a little more time to be able to communicate with the guys and talk to them and go with that. The NFL, halftime is a lot faster than, it is in college for sure.
And then I was curious, I noticed when you were on the field, you were standing like yards away from the play. Was that just so you could get a good view of it? Does that help you kind of like you would if you're up in the box?
Yeah, I think it's, you might see me walking around, I think it's just getting the feel of, I'm so used to being in the box and being able to just see everything. And so just trying to get the best vantage point, just being on the field and seeing it. And, I definitely moved around. Sometimes I was behind the defense. A lot of it has to do with the plays or the drives or kind of what I'm thinking is happening. But yeah, and I don't like really standing still. So I think that had something to do with it.
Joe, obviously, you only got to call plays with Christian for the 1 week, and it looks like he's going to miss this week. What is Reggie Bonifant being back? How much easier does that make your play calling for this week? And what does he bring to the field?
Yeah, I think whenever you get guys back, I think it always, it makes your team better. And so having Reggie back, having a guy that, can run the football, can make plays in the pass game, is an extremely smart football player. He's versatile, and he brings value, in other elements of our football team. And so having him back and having him, is definitely a positive to our offense. And so I don't think from a play calling standpoint, from a game planning standpoint, each week in itself, it's always, it's never easy from that standpoint, just having guys back, but just knowing that they're healthy and feeling good is definitely a benefit.
And just one more quick follow-up. When with Mike and Christian this past Sunday, how did you feel about the rotation and getting them both on the field? Were you satisfied with that kind of how that shook out?
I think there's always gonna be, in the fourth quarter, there was a lot of, we were kind of, in more of a 2-minute type mindset. So, you had to kind of deviate a little bit from your base game plan. And so from the rep standpoint, sometimes that might not necessarily, go exactly as planned. And we just understand that, but it was good to see Christian get involved. It was good to get Mike Davis involved, so from a rep standpoint, it's not something we necessarily, had an exact count, but it was good to get them both involved in the game.
All right, guys, we have time for 3 more. So let's go to Joe Person and then Jonathan Alexander. Finish with Bill both.
Hey, Joe, I know you guys have Tommy Stevens in this week. Do you guys kind of view him more as a quarterback or a tight end?
I honestly don't know anything about anything right now. I kind of follow the transaction wires, but until guys are in our building, that's really all I can speak about. That's more of a question for Coach Rule.
Well, and related though, you guys did bring in Seth DeValve a week or 2 ago, brought him back. Could he factor in the tight end position group at some point?
Yeah, no, that's why we feel confident in the 3 tight ends we have on the active roster, and and then Gio and Seth. We feel like it's a versatile group that is continuing to get better, and we're just evaluating every single day. And but I like what we're getting from our tight ends group, and having both of those guys will elevate us.
Joe, I know you guys are hoping to improve on third quarters, getting out after halftime. Do you believe, when you haven't played as well in the third quarter, do you believe it's affected, calls in the fourth quarter, or how you all perform in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I don't know if it affects necessarily, when you're not scoring in the third quarter. Sometimes that has to do, you might be down in the fourth quarter, and so you're having to get into a more a faster tempo. You're having to get to more of a 2-minute mindset. So ideal world, you'd like to get in the games where you're scoring in the third quarter and you're able to, finish the game in your hands and in your base game plan type calls. So I think a lot of times the score might dictate that. But obviously we'd like to score, third quarter score every time we get the football. But it's kind of where we are right now.
Joe, for so long, offensive football was about, you got to establish the run, and defensive football was you got to stop the run. Well, so I guess this is a general philosophy question. When you're facing a team like the Bucs, who are so good at stopping the run, especially up the middle, do you try and establish it and then keep going, and almost like bashing your head against the wall, or how do you do that mix of, well, you got to have that balance too?
Yeah, no, you have to have balance. I think if you ever go into a game thinking you're going to be extremely run heavy or extremely pass heavy, I think it becomes, you become predictable, and I think it doesn't put you in the best position to have success. And so I think, these guys are extremely, they're great in the run defense. They're a great defense, both in the run and the pass. And so, but I think if you go into a game thinking, just looking at the numbers and saying, hey, they're the best run defense, and so we're not going to even try to run the football, I think you're not asking for success. And so I think it's important that we establish the run. I think it's important that, we're able to, stay balanced and, try to stay on the field.